Hi everybody, here's the Night Breeze. For a while now I kind of off and on mentioned doing a video where I talk about the old school Dungeons and Dragons. I play a first edition, second edition hybrid, and I'm talking what most people consider advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I have played original Dungeons and Dragons as well, but I much prefer advanced. And, so I thought, what the heck, I'd go ahead and do this. Um, the systems have quite a few differences from what they do now. Um, for instance, you have what they called, it was mainly termed in second edition, but they call it THAC0, or the acronym stands for Two Hit AC 0. Back in the day, you wanted a lower numbered armor class was best. You started off, if you had no armor, no shield, and you're clumsy as could be, you'd have a 10 armor class. And then depending on your armor, or your dexterity, or both, you'd get bonuses. A 18 dexterity, which would be, a top level gymnast dexterity, that would be a -4 to your AC. So you're at a 6 at that point. Different armors. I believe leather armor took 2 points off because I think it was an AC 8. I'd have to look that up, and actually, I'll do that real quick here. Let me see if I can locate it here. Actually, as you can see, I have some of the books here on my computer for the purpose of doing this. Okay, yeah, here we go. So, type of armors. With no armor, no dexterity bonus, you have a 10 armor class. If you're carrying a shield against frontal attacks, you'd have a 9 armor class. Leather or padded armor gave you an 8 armor class. Leather or padded plus shield then was 7. Studded leather or ringmail was also a 7. And you'll find that a shield just basically lowered the AC by 1 more point. So you have your scale mail was a 6. Chainmail was a 5. Splint mail or banded mail was a 4. Your plate mail was a 3. Then the plate mail and shield was a 2. That was kind of your basic armors there. And then for each plus in a magic armor, it also improved it by 1. So in the example they give right here, magical plate mail and a magical shield, or magical plate plus 3 and a magic shield plus 5 would equal AC -6. Which, once you got into negative numbers, you got really difficult to hit. Because, first level, and I'm just going to take that. Every character class had the same THAC0 at first level, barring stat bonuses. And that was a 20. So to hit AC 0, you would have to roll a 20 on a 20-sided dice. So, if they didn't have any armor on, then it would be a 10. You'd have to roll a 10 or higher. You would still miss half the time. That's it. That's at first level. So you figure, quite a bit. 20 would make a huge difference. And here, let me scroll this down here because I have the chart, I think, of how the THAC0 progressed. Now this is from first edition that I'm bringing up here. Well, I thought I had it handy, but I guess. Yeah, it even. Of course, this thing even had there. But here we go. As a wizard or as a warrior, okay. So right here, this chart right here where I have my thing. Start off at a 0, okay. At level 1, and actually, this actually changed in second edition, but right now to hit AC 0, the 20. Then at level 3, you'd need a 19. This is where one of the changes they made. In second edition, a warrior's progression was 1/1. Every time a fighter, ranger, or paladin went up a level, their THAC improved by 1 point. But even there, to hit AC 0, at 10th level, this is barring any bonuses at all, you're missing half the time. So if you have a negative 10, it took quite a bit before you were hitting consistent on that. And as a mage, forget about it. Figure here, a AC 0 at level 21, or we'll go level 20. Level 20 mage or illusionist, because the first level had those separate classes. You would need a 14 or higher. Now granted, by the time you hit level 20 as a wizard, you were not relying on physical attacks for much of anything. Your spells were, at that point, you didn't have to worry about running out of spells very often. I think you'd have 9 first level, I think 9 second level, maybe 9 third level spells. I mean, most of your go-to spells, you'd have 9 castings in a day. Clerics were a little bit better. They could get down at least under, 10s easily. By the time they got higher levels. Thieves were, I believe, a little bit better than the paladins, or the clerics, not paladins. But this gives you an idea. But so that's how that worked. Now, of course, magical weapons gave you a bonus. High strength gave you a bonus. It was possible for missile weapons to get a bonus from your dexterity. And I know there's some YouTubers that have actually discussed how bad of an idea that really is. For dexterity to be the determining factor. I don't know. I see where they were going with it. Your physical attacks or your melee attacks use strength. Your dexterity, and that I can see that being involved in your throwing. I'm not going to argue that point. Another thing that's really set apart first and second is your saving throws. The newer editions have really narrowed it down to 3 things. Which it makes it easier, but the process and everything is different for each type of a situation. But in first edition and second edition, there was 5 saving throws. You had your paralyzation, poison, or death magic. So basically anything that paralyzed you, poisoned you, or killed you instantly. That was a magic for that the instant death. You know that was you have that there saving throw. Then you had your petrification and polymorph. If it turned you to stone or changed you into another creature, that was covered there. Then you had your wand or rod, staff, and wands. So if a spell was cast from a wand or the staff of the magi, magical rods, whatever, if you're saving it against those effects, you'd use that column. Your breath weapons, pretty much, dragons, gorgons. I'm trying to think of different ones that have, the breath weapons. Those are the main ones I can think of off the top of my head. But there's a catch to that. If it poisoned you, you'd use poison. So actually the Gorgon's breath weapon, you'd actually use petrification or polymorph, because the breath turns you to stone. I believe green dragons were the only dragon that actually used, at least was the most common. I believe they used the poison save rather than the breath weapon. And I think silvers had a breath weapon that could paralyze you, but that one I'm not 100% on it. Actually, I have to go back and look. And then you got your spells. Any magic spell that did not fall under one of the others was, that's what you used to save from them. Now, there were some spells that didn't give you a saving throw. One of my personal favorites is the magic missile spell. First level, basic attack spell. I shouldn't say doesn't miss. There is a couple spells that could prevent it. And in one particular module, it's the only time I know of, you actually had to roll to hit. And there was one target in that module that you had to roll to hit. And that was orcs hiding behind this shielded deal. I don't remember. It was kind of a weird scenario. Very specific. But for the most part, magic missiles did not miss. But that's kind of your saving throws. And each class has its own saves. For instance, a first to third level cleric, you needed a 10 or lower. This was one of the keys, no, it's higher. Yeah, it's higher. I'm not awake. I'm sorry, but no, it was a 10 you needed a 10 or higher to save against it as a cleric. Petrification and polymorph was a 13. Rodstaff wand needed a 14. The breath weapon you needed a 16, and spell you needed a 15 or higher. Now, by that same token, go down here to wizards. They needed a 14 paralyzation, poison, death magic, 13 for polymorph, 11 for Rodstaff wand, 15 for breath weapon, and a 12 for spell. And actually, for spell, the wizard actually ended up at the lowest for spell. At level 21, you needed a 4 against spell. But overall, from what I'm looking here at this chart, the best saving throw at high level was a cleric's saving throw versus paralyzation, poison, and death magic. And that you needed a 2 or higher. You're going to make that 99% of the time. So, and then even items had saving throws. And they had a list in there for different effects. So, for instance, you got hit with a fireball. You got caught in a fireball spell. This is Dungeons & Dragons. We all love fireball. And you happen to fail your saving throw. That's where your items would have to save. And you would find, and they actually have Fireball as a attack form. So you would need, depending on the quality item, a wood or rope, that was thin, would need an 11. Yeah. But some of this stuff could get very damaged very quickly. For instance, parchment or paper against a Fireball would need a 25 on a 20-sided dice. Yeah, you would need bonuses to save for that. It just gives you an idea. So, that would just kind of give you a brief thing on some of these terms. Trying to think of any others that you really would need, that are really different. And off the top of my head, I really can't think of anything. I'm sure I will do another video of this and go more in depth. Maybe go into the character creation process. And because each stat has its own bonuses and penalties, depending on what the stat is. And what was really neat, I will say this, with first edition, on their chart in the player's handbook here, when you go through discussing stats, they actually had the minimums and in some cases maximums to be a specific character type or race. For instance, here, a level 4 or 4 intelligence, you could only be a half elf, or that was the minimum for a half elf. You could still be a human to that. A 5 was the lowest. At a 5, the only class you could be from there or down is a fighter. Pure and simple. No other class could be that stupid. On wisdom, on the other hand, a 5 wisdom, you can only be a thief. I actually have a character that could not exist by the strict rules. His name was Scar. He is one of my favorite characters to play, and he is just a straight fighter. And he is big, dumb as a box of rocks, and ugly as sin, with no charisma. In first edition, the Unearthed Arcana introduced a stat for attractiveness, actual physical attractiveness. And I don't have that book opened up here, but he had a what was it? After all of the bonus or penalties and everything, I think he had a -1 comeliness. People were disgusted by him. Hence why he usually wore his helmet everywhere. But he had a 3 intelligence, a 3 wisdom, and a 3 charisma. He was not the kind of character. He was not a leader. And actually, at a 5 or lower charisma, he can only be supposedly can only be an assassin. That's where the hybrid, partly where the hybrid comes in, because second edition did away with that. But I have so much fun playing that character. I actually was in a group with the party's assassin, who was acting as just a plain thief, took him on a scouting mission. And Scar was wearing plate mail armor, shield, his weapons, and all this. And I was sitting there as we're going. I kept going clang, clang, clang. And I don't think anybody ever figured it out. But it was actually Scar doing that. As they're walking along, he's going clang, clang, clang. That was just the way he was. But he only had a couple friends. But once he was your friend, he protected you with everything he had. But it was quite the fun character. but I'm rambling. I get reminiscing sometimes. But yeah, so that's just kind of the basics here. So maybe next time I'll discuss the character creation, the classes, the races, the stats. So and I hope you guys enjoy this particular thing. I will be picking up the Let's Play on Death Knights of Krynn soon. I've been going through some personal issues again, but I hope to pick that up again here very soon. But I shall get with you all again sometime. In the meantime, have a great time. Take care of yourselves. And just have fun with life. Enjoy yourselves.